Hello everyone and welcome back to Cooking with Valerie. My name is Valerie. I am a kitchen product tester, reviewer, and writer based around Boston, Massachusetts. And today I'm going to show you how to make Tang Yuan or yuanxiao, or the literal translation would be rice dumplings. It is a dish, it's a sweet dish typically eaten during major holidays and festivals or celebrations like someone's wedding or a new baby. It's a very easy dish and it's kind of my childhood's favorite, and we're going to get to know how to cook it. If you are not very familiar with Tang Yuan, I can give you a little bit of background. It is a sweet glutinous rice balls filled with a variety of different fillings. It's kind of like a dumpling, but instead of flour dough, it uses sweet rice flour, which is also called glutinous rice flour. And the fillings are vary region to region. I think the most common ones are sweet, but there are also areas where people like to fill their rice dumplings with meat, which is kind of different. It's a completely different dish then, because mostly the rice dumplings are served as a dessert. And in my region, we like to serve them warm in a base of like an unfiltered rice wine with some osmanthus flowers on top. I used to make rice dumplings when I was a baby, and I definitely did not make the dough from scratch. I did not make the filling from scratch. I was mostly involved in the assembling process, which is a lot of fun for me as a kid. And also, before I start, I want to make a full disclaimer. I didn't develop this recipe. I borrowed the recipe from a Instagram food blogger. Her Instagram handle is Red House Spice. I really like her recipes. She does a ton of really awesome traditional Chinese recipes that I take inspirations from. I'm really happy that today, because of her, I get to make the rice dumplings from scratch and share the recipe with you. If you're interested, please follow along. To make Tang Yuan is actually pretty simple. You have some sweet rice flour. You can find them in most Asian supermarkets. You can also order them on Amazon. Just type glutinous rice or sweet rice. And for the dough, we are also using room temperature water and some boiling hot water. The hotter the better. That's it. That's for the dough. There's no yeast, no salt, nothing involved. Just water and sweet rice flour. And for the filling, it's also very simple. We have black sesame and sugar. It's really up to you how much sugar that you want to use, and you can always adjust the sweetness while you make the paste. So traditionally it uses animal fat like lard, but if you can't find lard, you can also use butter. And because in my experience making the paste, I find that butter is really prone to melting in room temperature. So here I'm using coconut oil, which stays solid in room temperature, which make it easier to work with. So those are basically what you need to successfully make a batch of Tang Yuan. So we're going to start with roasting the black sesame in a pan or skillet. Basically, it's done roasting. When it gets a little smoky, then you can turn the heat off. So I'm just gonna use mortar pestle because it's easier for me. When I was doing a trial run, I think the amount of black sesame here doesn't really make using a food processor or a blender, efficient. And now we have like sesame. Oh, it's really hot. And then we're gonna add sugar. Then we're gonna blend. And now I just added coconut oil and blend more. And then once everything is mashed, it's kind of very hard to imagine that it's going to solidify by you well, I promise you. Then you can, like me, I'm using a sandwich bag. Make sure it's can be sealed, and just pour all the mixture into the bag and freeze it immediately. It smells really good here. It's very fragrant. This guy will freeze and it will stay solid when after it's been cooled. Okay, now let's make the dough. We have in the purple bowl is a hot water, and in the brown bowl is room temperature water. So first you're going to add 3 tablespoons of hot water, very hot water, to the rice flour. And because it's really hot, I'm going to use chopsticks to mix them. Feel free to use a whisk, because I think that's more appropriate. But I think the image really stuck with me when I saw my relatives use chopstick to mix dough, like not just for for Tang Yuan, but for other like dumplings as well. I think that's kind of what I'm getting here. And after it turns to be a little crumbly, gradually add 4 tablespoons of water. You want to add it one by one. You don't want to rush. Just, you know, try to make sure that the rice flour gets some water coverage on them. And when large pieces are formed, now feel free to use your hands. Last bit of mixing the dough until everything is well combined. Kind of looks like this, and this is the texture. I don't know how well you can see this. Okay. And this is kind of the texture. You shouldn't have much rice flour sticking to your hands. It's still very sticky. I would recommend using like gloves for this. And then transfer the dough to a piece of saran wrap. And I want you to place the dough on the wrap, kind of make it into a tube. Like a long shape thing, doesn't need to be perfect. Just want later on when you portion the dough, it'd be easier. Fits in like a long shape. And you just cover the wrap it up, let it rest. I know it's not flour, but I still like to have the dough rest for a bit, so it can, when you later on, when you have to roll it, when you have to make the dumplings, the process will be a lot easier. They get a little bit stretchy, so that you can work with. Get started with assembling the dough. You want to portion them into 20 pieces. I already cut up some This is the second half. And you want to roll them into little balls. If you have a scale, they're approximately 20 grams each. And then set them aside. And now here you can see my pre-made. This one is butter fillings. They've been sitting in the fridge for like about an hour. I think to get it solid, very solid, you have to at least freeze them for an hour. Here, let's assemble the dumplings. Okay, so you first grab a dough, then put the dough in the, oh, there's a black sesame. Then you press down in the middle. Remember, this is not flour. This is not like a normal dumpling dough. So it is a little crumbly if you are too rough with it. So be careful. Make sure that on the sides there is more dough than the bottom part, because you kind of need to work with the sides later on. You'll see. And then put a piece of stuffing in the middle. Here's the tricky part. You're going to like try to use your fingers and just slightly, very slightly work the upper edges and let the dough do its work. And very carefully try to fold it, close it up top, and close it. Once you closed it, make sure that it's all safe, and then roll the dough and make sure it's round and it's nice. Here we have one perfect round rice dumpling bowl. Okay, now we're gonna hear that the water is boiling, so I'm gonna make the ones already made. I'm gonna grab a spatula and put it in. Want to be careful. Drop. Now they're in. One thing is that you need to make sure they're not sticking to the bottom, because they're heavy and they tend to stick to the bottom. It's gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes, depends on how big your yuanxiao or Tang Yuans are. And when the water comes to a boil again and the Tang Yuans are floating on the surface, then give it another 5 minutes and then you'll be done. And now, as you can see, the rice dumplings are floating. This is a pretty good indication that they are done cooking. So now let's turn the heat off. And there we go. Tang Yuan made from scratch. This is quite amazing. So that's it. Now we have some really nice dumplings. In my region, we actually serve them warm with the base of unfiltered rice wine, or we call them jiu niang. But here it's really hard to get them unless I go to like an Asian grocery store. If you go to H Mart, they do sell those. If you go to any Chinese supermarket, they have those too in the frozen section, probably next to the soy milk or tofu. So now I'm serving my Tang Yuan with some osmanthus flour. It's a very popular food ingredient in my region too, in Shanghai. When travel is allowed again, I highly recommend you guys to visit. You wanna try some? So this is what the interior of the Tang Yuan looks like. It's slightly different from the store-bought version, which, you know, the paste is more runny. I think this is better. It kind of gives it a little bit of texture and a bite. Really like it. Happy holidays, everyone.